Okay. And I guess we lost John, but
I'm on the phone.
Okay. So I'll just get us started. So, hey,
Cool,
like 6 minutes late, and, I just moved over the weekend, didn't realize, what my camera would capture, so don't always live in disarray. You couldn't tell by the way this is going today, but we're doing a presentation today over yoga forms, which you'll learn a little bit about if you've never heard of the term or the product, and how it can help just automate your HR forms or any kind of forms that are related to your employee process. So it could be IT forms. We'll kind of get into some examples. With that, my name is Melissa Olson. I'm the HCM Practice Director at RPI Consultants. I've been with RPI about 8 years. Before that, I had a long and storied career in the Lawson space as a programmer and then as an HRIS manager, so I've sat on both sides. And I live in Dallas. As you see, I just moved. So hopefully the next webinar will look a little bit nicer in the back. John?
Thank you, and thanks everyone for pausing your obsessive election coverage to join us. I have been with RPI for six, almost 7 years, I think, and I have around 10 years or over 10 years experience with process automation tools, and so I head up our process automation practice here at RPI Consultants. We specialize in all sorts of back office automation, including, I'm in the webinar, almost there, including accounts payable automation and human resources. There we go. Okay. I also have been spending the last couple of years getting up to speed on Azure Cloud Architecture as part of our yoga software deployment, and I am our yoga product and DevOps manager. So really excited to discuss our yoga forms offering for human resources with you today, and we'll get this going. So we're going to cover some of the challenges that exist within human resources, and that's both, whether you are already have a digital solution or if you're really coming from nothing, a paper process. Then we'll discuss what our proposal is that helps solve these challenges. We will provide a demonstration. If the video doesn't play because of my computer issues, we will have it available as part of the recording and sent out to attendees afterwards. And then we're going to discuss how you can get started with using yoga forms in your environment. Okay, so.
Yeah, so, we talk about data collection and forms and paper, and, no matter what industry you're in, you're going to have paper processes. You're going to have web forms that might not be connected to your Infor databases that you have to kind of translate over. You're going to have data that is not necessarily, HR. You have a place for it in HR that you need to capture somehow. So, it's pretty critical that you get data for your employees, you get data, timekeeping data, IT information. There's a lot of things that go around having an employee in your system that you need to grab. And, all these requirements are system agnostic. An HR department is an HR department. We have different processes, but they're nuanced. But pretty much everybody does new hires. They do transfers, terminations, regulatory reporting. So, these forms aren't necessarily specific to any one industry. And you'll find, the examples that we'll talk about today, you're most likely encountering in your organization today.
And these gaps are everywhere. Like Melissa said, the requirements to collect this data exist no matter what systems you may or may not have implemented. And so, whether you're coming from a paper-based solution today, or you have some basic information system or data collection, electronic data collection that exists, or even really if you would consider yourself digitally transformed and have fully implemented automated processes and solutions, the gaps will continue to exist. And there are some reasons why the systems you have in place may elect to never try to cover them. So the forms then are a natural outcome of the requirements for data collection. And these forms exist because you have requirements, and some of these requirements are now, and some of these requirements are for later. Right now, you have some requirements for things that you have to send the federal or state governments. So you have to compose documents like a W-4, et cetera. You have the requirement to be auditable for your forms and signatures. Did this person complete this document when they say they did? Did we store it? Are we keeping it?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to jump in there because for many years,
okay, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say for many years, a lot of organizations or the government required wet signatures on forms, but there's been a big shift to e-signatures. So there shouldn't be any excuses anymore to move those auditable signatures and forms over to an electronic process or tool.
My computer's completely locked up.
Oh no.
Yeah, and you also have the requirements for security and to be ready for disaster recovery. And then you have the things that we can't anticipate, things that happen. COVID is a great example of some things that have rapidly introduced new challenges and requirements for our organizations. The great example that we're constantly being asked about is the payroll tax deferment, where organizations say, well, maybe we want to provide the option for our employees to elect to do this, but how? And how are we going to do that? And it's probably a pretty temporary thing anyway, so we can't realistically expect our ERP provider to push out some rapid change to facilitate that. So you have these ongoing challenges that you need a flexible solution to be able to cover. And then you have data that just doesn't fit within the systems that you have today. And Melissa has a really great example of a solution she implemented in a previous life around employee wellness plans.
Yeah, so, Infor doesn't necessarily have something to track wellness. They have the benefits module, there's an occupational health module, but if your organization offers wellness discounts based on different things that are being done throughout the year, going and getting preventative screenings, getting a certain amount of steps a day, there needs to be somewhere to track it. My old company, I was able just to build in Lawson, S3 Lawson, just a wellness program module with the 4GL case tools to start capturing all of that data. So we still needed a way to say, hey, employee, can you enter these things? Because I can track them in the database. Employee self-service doesn't have a screen for them to say, yes, I did my preventative screening. Yes, I did, and checked all the boxes that would get them their credits at the end of the year. So, that was one of the gaps, and we still had paper there. So here, we're able to create those forms that your employees can, log all of the activities they're doing for their wellness plans or wellness programs. And then the form can translate into either database, S3, GHR. We'll be talking mostly about Cloud Suite version 11 today, but it can definitely be translatable back to the version 10. And, you create a business class to start capturing some of those fields that do not exist in your current system. Just one example, but there are, I'm sure, many examples out there of things that you guys track that you're having a hard time either using spreadsheets, access databases, or little third-party boutique software to track this. And the idea is you really want to get all of your HR data, your employee data into your system of record, which is, your HRIS system, Cloud Suite, HCM. Okay.
Yep, and you have challenges anytime you go to implement something, a new process like that. how do I get the data? What do I do with it once I have it? And that includes both the processing or workflow of it, and then ultimately where does it get stored, and what effects does that have? Should it trigger additional processes, et cetera? So why then do forms suck? What is it about these that we still continue to have problems with, even though they are ultimately ubiquitous? If nothing else, you have the human element, manual data entry. That's both the person filling out a paper form and the person reading the form. Bad handwriting is, well, I know I certainly make other people fill out paper forms when it comes to handwriting, because my handwriting is basically illegible. And then it's impossible to validate it. Even a person who has great handwriting can write down an incorrect date or incorrect social security number. I know I have filled out forms before and accidentally put wrong information, things even like my own birth date, which you would think I could would be impossible to make a mistake on, but I have definitely done it. You also have the inability to really trigger anything off of it. So if it's paper, we don't have any way to have a digital driver for other actions that we may already have automated or would like to automate. And so the logic or the decision making is really limited just to if I'm an HR clerk, what decisions have I been trained to make? What decisions am I comfortable making? What options do I even know I have available? So it's limited to human categorization in those activities. And then the file room. I know Melissa has seen this across many of our clients, but it is extremely painful to see the cost and whatnot that goes into that.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys who are in HR, if there's HR practitioners on the call here, you guys know you're looking for somebody's file. You go to the file room and it's not there. And if you have a system to check it out, you try and track it down. It should be on somebody's desk maybe where, hi, security issue. And then you go and it's not on their desk. They said they gave it to potentially a VP because there is a non-compete in there and that person's leaving. So you go to the VP and they're not there. They're in meetings all week. And, it could take you up to a week to track down somebody's files. And these are, examples that I've lived through. And, getting those files back in. And, John mentioned the disaster recovery elements earlier. And if there was a fire, if there was a storm, if something happened, then you have decades of data, employee data in one room, it's gone. So what's your backup plan for that?
So you may be at one of many different stages or anywhere in between of these, but just to highlight the kind of stepping stones that we typically see as our clients roll out solutions or digital solutions and really make on that path to automation. Level one is kind of we don't collect any digital data and we don't care about it. And that's risky for you and risky for your organization, risky for your employees. We still frequently find many of our clients using just all paper. I've been implementing digital HR document management solutions for at least 10 years, and I was doing electronic employee files when I started. And I'm helping organizations do electronic employee files just to start scanning and getting their paper digitized, mostly for the safety of it. Still common today. And so maybe the next step is, okay, we are scanning, so we're digital, hooray. We can pat ourselves on the back that at least we have begun the journey towards digitization and automation. Then potentially using OCR or barcode reading, maybe adding some automation triggers into that so that we're not still having to hand key, hand index all of the data. And then for many purposes, departments will ask, we would really like this one form to be digital. It's something that we have to do a ton of work with all the time, something like quarterly performance reviews, what have you, things that have make a big impact just by deploying one form, but each web form is very custom. And so you aren't really able to scale that to all of your paper forms. Whoever built it disappears, and so you can't maintain it anymore. I have some organizations.
I want to say I have a funny / not funny, sad example. I went to an organization and they had a web form, and then they had somebody that was an HR take all of the information from wherever they wrote this web form data and hand keyed it into the Watson system, the Infor system. So, you see all kinds of crazy things out there. And which, again, no judgment. You do what you can do with what you have, and we understand that. So.
Yep. So even once you implement pieces, sometimes it can be difficult to keep them connected in such a way that you're really maximizing the utility of those pieces. And even when you have the full-blown, fancy, brand new HRIS like Cloud Suite, and it does a lot, especially as compares to previous versions, you're always going to encounter gaps, especially when it comes to some of the previous challenges we've discussed with short-term or unanticipated requirements. So what's our solution? Well, in our opinion, dare I say expert opinion, I can say that because Melissa is lending her experience to this presentation. Dynamic digital forms with a focus on being able to rapidly deploy them to your organization and have maximum flexibility within those forms is the answer. So on top of that, you could leverage a library of standard and common forms, which means that you don't have to go build, there are many options for digital forms out there, but if you're just starting with a blank slate, it can take a long time to roll out all of the different electronic forms you need. And so, a solution that already contains many of the forms you need and a growing library means that it's even less time for you to get the solution stood up. The ability to edit those forms, manage them, and create new forms within the product is still always going to be necessary even with the library. And even with the library, you may say, well, we want to tweak this out of the box form a little bit. Maybe we want to adjust the look and feel. Maybe we need another field here and there. So the ability to continue to edit or modify those forms over time, control versioning of them, is really important. Of course, the integration, our data, is an extremely important part of this. So whether we are pulling data into a form to validate the employee information or pushing data out of the form into the HRIS to make updates to the employee information there, leveraging those integrations so that you're using that master data that you have and is very valuable is really important. And then, of course, meeting our regulatory and audit requirements, which is much easier when you have a system that tracks it natively. And so RPI recommends and offers yoga forms for this purpose. And it is, put simply, simple, rapidly deployed enterprise forms. So this is just a quick screenshot. On the left, you have Infor Cloud Suite, and on the right, we have an I-9 form. It's really interesting, some of the government forms, I-9s, W-4s. If I go out to try and find just a fillable PDF for these documents, I went to the federal government's website for the I-9, and they had a link to a fillable PDF. And if you click it, it takes you to a window that says, please wait, file is downloading, and it never downloads. And so even from the official source, and I tried it across multiple computers, browsers, nobody else could do it either. So even from the official source, you can't get a fillable PDF. It's practically impossible. And so even without data validations, without automation, providing a way to digitally enter that information and get it output onto the official I-9 document is something that could be extremely valuable. And so that's something that we offer. And that's part of the demonstration video. And so next, all right, so what are we actually offering? Melissa, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah. So there is a library of forms. I've worked with John and team, and HCM team has worked on all of the forms, not all of, but we've been building out a library of a lot of the forms that you guys encounter and are using, paper-based or some sort of e-form or a third party. He was showing the I-9. There are other third-party products out there that you kind of bolt on, and we've built out this library of some of those, common used. You'll be able to get to all of the forms, whether you need them or not, inside this library and inside your Cloud Suite HCM. And it's continuing to grow because, as we find other, examples, as we see different clients using them in different processes, we're building them into our library. And then if you're not, the form that you need isn't in the library, you will have a librarian that will help you grab your requirements and build out that custom form that you need. This is a tool that you'll be able to use to build. So it's not just a one and done or just a library. You will have a tool that you can continue to grow the forms that you need in your organization. And there are already built integrations, as you see there, with Cloud Suite HCM and different document storage solutions. Did I miss anything?
Right. No, we've been able to leverage our experience across, especially with Lawson for version 10 and for Cloud Suite, to make sure that these integrations are pre-built. They're, plug and play, ready to go. And we also have a lot of experience with integrating with other ERPs and with virtually every common document management platform. So the idea is that any deployment of Yoga Forms should be plug and play to begin taking advantage of the HR library. So next, in addition to the out-of-the-box form functionality, Yoga Forms does include a designer and editor, right? So you have to be able to edit and continually maintain these forms. It is a very simple drag and drop builder. And so it has all the selection of different kinds of form tools that you might expect. Digital signature lines, which can be used for signing on mobile with your finger or just with your mouse, or even if you want to go so far as to connect a signature pad to a computer, you can use that as well. Allows for uploading attachments, all the different kinds of fields like drop downs, radio buttons, and text fields and text areas, all that. And of course, like I mentioned, we can populate PDF templates. So, natively it can output the form as it looks, or we can populate a different form for things where we need a certain structure. Again, customizing existing forms. And you can, if there are any additional integrations that you want to create that aren't already out of the box, those can be done through a GUI-based SQL and web service integration builder. So it's a very powerful form designer. I've used a lot of different products, and I really think this is one of the best. And another note on the integrations, again, I think that much of the power of this solution comes from being able to leverage that master data, whether it's inside the ERP or another system. We actually use our other integration product called Yoga Connect to facilitate that transfer of information between business systems and Yoga Forms. So that's really pretty invisible to users. They won't ever see Yoga Connect, and it's working well if they never have to hear about it because the integrations are just there. Additionally, you have single sign-on and integration with Active Directory, standard enterprise functionality. We also have integrations with true digital signature services. So while we do provide for digital signing, so you have that representation which generally covers all of the auditability requirements you might have. A true digital signature solution is more of a technical difference than it is a functional one. And so, we're not looking to replace things like DocuSign or SureSign or Adobe Sign. And so we do, for when that is required, from a, contracting or legal perspective, we do have those ready to go. And really any other business systems. So if you want to connect to your CRM or a financial system or anything else, or even external providers, we do provide some external connections to things like benefits providers via Yoga Connect. And so virtually anything that you need to connect to, as long as it's available to access, can be accessed from Yoga Forms. And of course, these are designed and built by experienced consultants, and that's where Melissa comes in.
Yeah, as we talked about, we as a consulting team have the background. A big percentage of us have been in the HR department before we came into consulting, and we're out seeing different types of organizations, different verticals, different processes on a day-to-day basis, and we can understand, the different organizational needs, as I said earlier, to bring those forms in, something we've never seen before in healthcare pops up in K through 12, and, we want to make sure and capture, things for all of those, or forms for all of those different verticals.
And so some of, that's one of the primary advantages to this product, is that it's built and delivered by the people who are asked to fill these needs all the time. However, over some of competing products, and like I said, there are a million different digital form solutions out there, I think there are some other key advantages. Yoga Forms does offer in its current package unlimited users and unlimited form types. You'll see that most digital form products are priced per user and will get extremely expensive very quickly if you're trying to deploy this out to your enterprise. Right now, we're discussing our HR forms library, but additional libraries are being planned for the future. For example, information technology forms or IS, finance. There are a number of other forms that we have available and are working to package together or bundle together for additional libraries. We do offer built-in workflow and digital signing. So you may have an existing workflow solution. That's fine. If you want to use that, great. If not, we do have a workflow for approvals, for reviewing, for multiple filling steps available. And ultimately, it's important that users feel consistent in their interface, that it is friendly to them, and it doesn't look like we're taking them to a whole new system that is unrecognizable to them. So we do the form on a form-by-form basis. The look and feel is customizable. In our demo video, you'll see that we've customized the forms to look like Infor Cloud Suite. And so whether it's that or another look and feel that you're after to tie it into another system, that is highly customizable. And to make sure I speak to mom and dad who are making the decisions around these kinds of systems, Yoga Forms is very scalable, safe, and secure. So it is a cloud-based deployment and SaaS model. It does provide, again, direct system integration via Yoga Connect. So all integrations are owned, maintained, and secured by RPI. However, the data does remain in your core business system. So RPI does not store employee data. RPI does not store any of your business system's master data. We facilitate the integration with the form, and all integrations are performed using strong encryption. And ultimately, we are able to rely on the very good security and stability offered by the Azure platform to elevate our offering. Okay, so I do have a demo video. It's about 5 minutes long.
RPI Consultants' Yoga software suite has been designed, built, and delivered by expert consultants with decades of experience in finance and supply management, human resources, process automation, and technical services. From the ground up, Yoga has been architected to be both a flexible software platform and business solution. Yoga Forms is a solution for rapidly deploying electronic forms to your enterprise. In this demonstration, I'm going to show the flexible features of Yoga Forms in addition to the out-of-the-box human resources form library. Yoga Forms offers a seamless, deeply integrated experience with your other business applications. Yoga Forms can be presented to users through your ERP, such as Infor, your company intranet, such as SharePoint, or directly from Yoga Forms. In addition, form filling can be triggered from within your workflow solution or robotic process automation tool. In addition to a seamless and customizable user experience, Yoga Forms are readily integrated into your business data, including single sign-on. In this example, an I-9 form is accessed from inside Employee Self-Service in Infor Cloud Suite ERP, and employee information is automatically populated inside of the form. This form has been styled to be consistent with the Infor user interface. Form validation rules ensure that a user completes all required fields, including a digital signature, and providing required identification documents via document attachment. The user can save a PDF, or the completed form is sent to their email. They then submit the form. The I-9 then needs to be reviewed for completeness by a human resources clerk. This can be done by sending the document through our plug-and-play interface to popular workflow systems like Kofax, Total Agility, or Highland OnBase. However, a Yoga Forms subscription also offers the option of built-in workflow for reviewing, approving, or multi-step form filling. Here, I'm acting as the human resources clerk by reviewing the provided information sent via email. I open the form, review the information that the employee provided, download the supporting documentation to review and provide data entry, select the employee's first day of employment, sign, verify that my company information has been populated, and submit the form. The document then goes to be stored in the electronic employee file in Infor Document Management or any other document management system. In my next example, a W-4 is accessed from a company's SharePoint intranet. The user reviews their information, completes their elections, and signs the document. Additional instructions are provided. Forms with certain formatting requirements, such as those required by the government, are output in that required template. With the included Yoga Forms workflow, the HR clerk receives a task to review and approve the document. In my final example, a user needs to complete their designation of beneficiary form. It is accessed from inside of the Infor ERP. In this use case, due to local regulations, Human Resources requires the spouse to sign the form if they are not the primary beneficiary. The user selects the plan, verifies their personal information is correct, and designates primary and contingent beneficiaries. Since the user is selecting their child as the primary beneficiary, the PDF will be sent through DocuSign to the spouse before updating the beneficiary information in the ERP.
Just to give you an idea what the actual forms are that we are providing as part of this library. Again, this is just right now, so November of 2020, but it will be growing continually as our clients continue to suggest or recommend or have new forms built. So I'm not going to read through every one of these, but I want to highlight a few that I think are pretty important. The first couple, the W-499, again, these are things that even from the official source can be hard to get an actual fillable PDF, much less something that has validations, calculations, workflow built around it. So we do offer those integrated with your HRIS. Designation of beneficiary allows you to do primary, contingent beneficiaries. Additional logic, a use case that we encountered, which you'll see in the demo video, was requiring a spousal signature if they're not the primary beneficiary, and so we can facilitate that. And then all sorts of acknowledgments. These are common, and there's dozens of them that can be applied to all sorts of organizations. The handful that we've put together so far for drug-free workplace acknowledgement, have I received the employee handbook, code of conduct, etc. And of course, we have a roadmap. So various types of agreements, such as non-disclosure agreements, and trying to improve some of the processes around how HR communicates with IT. So, when employees are hired, transferred, terminated, if we need to provision assets for them, like a smartphone or laptop, and then, how are we making sure that we get those back? All those kinds of data collection, again, acknowledgments by the employee that they've received these devices, those kinds of data collection activities we're looking to add to this library as well. And this isn't in the demo video because the focus is really on the presentation to users, how the forms themselves are actually used. But just as a kind of a quick preview on the form building side, this is a screenshot of the designer. And so on the main area of the page, you kind of have the canvas, right? That's where you add the fields to. You see I've got an employee name, a signature pad, etc. And on the left, you kind of have your form field toolbox. So all sorts of different controls. Some are there for sanitizing inputs, such as a phone number to make sure that it's a phone number, email addresses. You have some common things like U.S. states, or, so that it's a static list. Dates, times, grids, repeating grids, tables, et cetera, et cetera. So a huge toolbox, and there's even more for things like custom integrations. So the ability to, again, version these forms, test them as you continue to build, copy forms so that if you want something that's very much the same but just slightly different, you can do that as well, are all there available inside of the designer. Okay, so Melissa, how can people get started with Yoga Forms? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, you can give one of us a call or an email. John, myself, any of your RPI sales solutions account managers, and then here are kind of the options and what happens. So you give us a call, you're like, hey, I'm really interested in Yoga Forms. I don't know how many I have now, but let's get it started. And I don't even know if everything can be converted into a Yoga Form or if there's still some stuff I have to leave in, a web form. So, we'll go through and you'll talk through requirements on the forms discovery session, just as you do with your regular, module implementations or any of the other projects that you have with Infor software. And then, talk through, and John, you want to jump in on the data integration?
Mm-hmm.
I know this is a piece you're good at.
So while we know that you're going to want to, integrate with your HRIS, we might need to identify whether there's any other points you would want to integrate with. Again, whether it's a government service or a third party or just other systems within your environment. And then we would want to identify, what solution you have or may need for archiving this data. So with Infor, with Cloud Suite, we leverage Infor document management, and that's great, and we can help you set that up if you haven't already. But if you are not using Infor or for some reason aren't using Infor document management, we would want to identify what that looks like. And then, finally, part of this is making sure that you receive training, empowerment, and, a rollout mechanism for introducing this to your organization. So as far as pricing, pricing is really based on your requirements. However, it is tiered, as you might expect from a subscription service. And we've put this together, I think, to really be a differentiator against other products. So the silver level, the entry level, contain the form library, right? Everything that we have built and want to include inside of the library, and everything we're going to continue to add to the library will be available to you, as well as other basic forms that may get rolled out. And it includes integration with your document store, so again, Infor document management, and includes the built-in workflow. So really, I think in the basic level, we want to make sure that you have everything that you need to begin using them, and make sure that you're capturing all of the value out of that digitization. The gold level, the forms are a little more integrated. That's where we're going to leverage that HRIS master data for improved validations, actually submitting data back to the HRIS to update employee records. Then the gold level also includes some important features such as single sign-on. And then at the platinum level, you've got access to the form builder through the designer, and access to really us, right? So you get the personal librarian to help you craft the forms for your organization. So I think that, as compared to the structure that most form solutions provide, which are either based on user, based on number of form types, usually very limited, or based on a price per submission, which we don't price any of those ways. I think it is extremely competitive. Okay. However, not everybody fits within the tiers. Not everybody's going to fit within the box. So there are Platinum Plus, if you will, enterprise packages available. We do have an on-premise option, including one that includes the GHR Forms library. That said, the on-premise option is going to be missing some of the features, and generally requires a lot more setup. So that's really on a case-by-case basis. Also, any really advanced integrations or tie-ins to other systems, and then also, if you really want RPI to take over more of the management of this process and not just the solution, we do offer more more services around, again, how to get this into your organization and propagated, as well as designing forms for you, in interacting with the departments or business analysts or whomever it might be to get them deployed. Okay. All right. So thank you for bearing with us with our technical difficulties and whatnot. Yes, we did get a question: do you do demos of the application? And so, yes, absolutely. Again, the demo video is available through the handout, and will be available as this recording. However, if you're looking for a customized, personal demonstration. If you have some kind of use case that you would like to see, maybe it's a form that you think should be included in our library, or just something that's specific to your organization. Either way, we're happy to facilitate that. Yes, that's a great question. All right, so let's wrap up here. What did we discuss today? We discussed some of the problems that exist in a modern human resources department, some of the challenges that are faced, and the different types of implementations that exist that you may have or may not have. We previewed the offering in Yoga Forms for Forms Library, and we discussed how you can get started with Yoga Forms. So if you're interested, this is a great contact point. This is basically a way to reach me, but I share some of this with some other people. So yoga@rpic.com is a great catch-all email box. This is also the support inbox for all of our yoga products. So plenty of people standing by to take your questions there. So please feel free to reach out, or if you have my contact information or your account executive or Melissa, feel free to contact any of them. We do have additional yoga products. So as I mentioned, Yoga Forms is just one of a yoga product suite. I'm not going to talk through all of these, but we will be updating a lot of our content on our website around each of these through the next couple of months. We did do a webinar last month on just kind of a high level of all of the products and kind of how they're going to look going into 2021. So if you're interested in that webinar is available on our website. We also do have some upcoming events. Melissa, do you want to talk a little bit about the Cloud Suite 101 series?
Sure. Cloud Suite 101 kicked off probably mid-October, maybe closer to the beginning of October. And every Friday at lunchtime, RPI is doing some sort of feature of Cloud Suite. So, we started off with the financial, supply chain, HCM, and tech, and then we've been moving into healthcare and public sector and different areas, different verticals. And then we're going to move into the implementation, what to expect, why Cloud Suite, why not Cloud Suite, and they will run through about mid-December. And again, they're every Friday at noon Eastern, and you can check our website for information, and you can sign up at the Digital Concourse, the old Digital Concourse site, and yeah, join us for that. Virtual user exchange, we had a couple of those in the spring and summer. We will be doing another one in January, very similar to the last one. Lots of presentations, lots of new information, lots of education, and sprinkled throughout the day. And then I think this is yours, John, last one.
Yeah, yep. The virtual user exchange, I think we're planning on doing 2 in 2021. Really great events, tons of content. We bring in our partners, all of our software partners. We bring in other vendors that we work with, other people that just are relevant to this ecosystem that we share. And so if you haven't attended, or even if you have, definitely recommend checking out the signups, which I would imagine will open up in the next 30 days or so. And then next month, so my team does webinars every first Wednesday, of which this is one. Next month, in December, we are going to have a webinar on planning for your strategic automation initiatives in 2021. So whether that's HR form digitization or AP automation, or looking at robotic process automation, whether you're looking at or already a user of Kofax or Highland products, that's what we're going to be talking about. So again, that's the first Wednesday in December. So if there's any other questions, please feel free to submit them to GoToWebinar or into the yoga@rpic.com email address I shared. There are a number of links here for additional information about our services, about our software, and knowledge base about frequently asked questions and things like that. So thank you for joining us today. Appreciate your attendance and bearing with us through some of the challenges. Please check out the demonstration video. I think it's really compelling. And thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.